Hi, and thanks for watching this video. Hope you're doing good. I'm on Patreon now. I don't have that many subscribers, so if you like my videos and you can afford it and you want to shoot me a bit of money so that I keep making videos, I much appreciate it. I put a link at the end of the video. I make videos on musical software, recording techniques, musical instruments, musical hardware, vintage music gear, and some other things as well. Electronic repair techniques. I review computer peripherals, I guess you'd call them. I've been building computers since probably the late 1990s. Anyways, let's get back to this video, and it's about a vintage synthesizer called the Korg Poly-61, and I bought this on Craigslist for about 300 Canadian, give or take, which is about $250 US. I knew it was broken. I also bought an Emax 2 from the same guy. Didn't know that he's the same guy until I went and actually picked this up, and then I realized that, oh, this is the guy that sold me the Emax 2 as well. So yeah, small world. So anyways, when I bought it, he said it wasn't working properly, and I took a risk on it. The screen was working. This little LED screen was working, but the sound was all garbled. Yeah, my video is at 15 frames per second, so that's why you can see that. So basically it's a Korg Poly-61. I guess it's about 20 some years old now. It's got 6 analog voices, 6 analog chips on it, and no effects, but it's got an arpeggiator. And it's almost in 100% working condition right now. I've done a bit of work on it. There's still one thing wrong with it, and that is the attack, decay, sustain, release is not working, and according to the internet that's down to 1 chip. So I'm gonna have a quick look when I get some more time on that 1 chip, but everything else is working. And in this video I'm gonna show you a repair technique to fix something that might plague some of these older Korgs. So I'm going to show you a way that I fixed this Korg, and it might work on your Korg as well. So these are new buttons right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are new buttons that I put on there. It's kind of a heavy beast. The case is really ugly. It's made out of like particle board case. So yeah, I'll show you everything working. There's the arpeggiator. There's no MIDI on it. got a hold button. So yeah, like the attack, decay, sustain, and release is not working on it, but everything else is working on it. Here's the pitch bend. Tune. There's a tape function here, tape enable, so you can download a wave file and play it back into the from tape with a quarter inch TRS or TRS in to the from tape, and then put tape on enable on, and then play back the wave, and you can reset the presets back to normal. That's one of the first things I did on this synthesizer. So you can see here's parameter. You can change the parameter, and then this is a list of all the parameters you can change, and this is the up and down. And then you can write it, so you can store it. So everything is working. So everything is working on this machine, aside from this arpeggiator light that doesn't always stay on. But it does work. The other thing is a little bit noisy. So those are the two things that I have to work on. It's a little bit noisy, and the ADSR doesn't work great, or doesn't work at all. Attack, decay, sustain, release doesn't work. Okay, so let's go in. It's got 2 screws here and 2 on the other side, and then you can open the case. It's hinged and it flips up. And you have to be careful because these wires here can get damaged. So on a synthesizer this old, you should replace all the capacitors. Even if they look good, I would replace them all, just so that it'll be in 100% good shape and you don't have to worry about it for the next 5-10 years. So I replaced every single capacitor on here. There's a new battery. This machine here, the big problem with this is batteries. So the battery will leak and it'll get on the components, and obviously the memory function won't work, and it sometimes just wrecks it. And so the good thing about it is that when the battery leaks, it looks ugly, but the trace doesn't get damaged. So you'll find your trace is still good. The solder is damaged. It'll eat away the solder. So you have to, all of the components you can see that are damaged, you kind of have to take a Q-tip and maybe some rubbing alcohol, clean up everything, and then you have to use desoldering wick and some flux and a soldering iron, and then you have to remove some of the components, test them, put them back, resolder everything. And one of the hard problems is that the solder doesn't stick very well to the trace that's got all that battery residue on it. So that's something you're gonna have to run into. And also another thing on this issue is these contacts here. They're like little aluminum contacts inside here. and they rust out, or actually they're probably made out of tin, so they rust out, and so those have to be replaced. 4 of them were bad on this connector, and then there was some bad on this connector. So actually this whole connector is gone, and it's all new wires here, and they're all just single pin wires, and they're like color coded, and there are 2 wires going to each channel, or each analog chip, voice chip, each voice group. So there's 2 wires going to each voice group, and they're all color coded. So I also broke some trace on the back that had to be fixed, and so anyways, there's one chip right here that I believe is the problem for the attack, sustain, decay, and release, which needs to be fixed. So that's all that's left to fix, is this one chip right here, or whatever is affecting that chip. I have to figure it out. So yeah, so everything works. I'm going to talk about the problem that you can fix on your own if you come across this, and that is that one of the problems I ran into this thing was that when you would play, one of the voice chips wasn't in tune, and I couldn't get it in tune, and so every time you'd play that note, so it would, I don't know if you know how these things work, but every time you hit a key, it goes to the new voice chips. So when you hit each key, it goes 1 voice, 2 voice, 3 voice, 4 voice, 5 voice, 6 voice, and then back to 1 voice. And that's how it works. So what happens is that when I was every time I played 6 notes, one of the notes was out of tune. And it wouldn't happen even every time, because it only happened when you went to a new note. If you stayed on the same note, it wouldn't happen, but when you went to a new note, it's very complex. But anyways, it was bothering me, so I took my voltmeter, my multimeter, and I checked everywhere, tried to figure out what the problem was, couldn't figure it out. So anyways, to make a long story short, if you want to fix this problem, you just take a chord, like your F chord, and so you take like a chord, like the F chord, and then you take these adjusters, and when it's one of the voice chips is out of tune, when you play the F chord, every second time you play it, you'll hear that one voice that goes off pitch. So this is the best way to tune it. If you try to tune it like individually, like this way, you won't be able to do it. Well, you may be able to, but it's not easy, or it's like nearly impossible. But so basically these tune the different octaves. I think there's 4 tuning knobs right here, and you can actually just turn them by hand. You don't need the tool. And so you basically, how I did it is you just keep pressing this like that, and then you just adjust these pots, and you'll find that you'll basically adjust it, and when you hit the correct adjustment, everything will sound like a chord perfectly. It won't be out of tune. And then you do that for the lower octaves, and I had to do it for the upper octaves too, because you can set it perfect for the lower octaves, but the upper octaves will still be out. And then, so that's how you do that. So anyways, if you run across that situation, and it's, making you scratch your head, well, why is my Korg only 1 or 2 oscillators seems to be out of tune? and it's not by very much, and it's not every time, it's only every time, it's not even every time, because I think what happens is the voltage just dropped. I don't even know why it's happening, but it just goes out of tune. One note will go out of tune. So if you have that and you're not sure how to fix it, this is the way to fix it. You just hit the one chord, find a chord, like I'm using F, but you could probably do it with C. The major chords maybe are easier to do it. And then again, adjust these 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll find, you know, one of those pots to adjust, and you can get everything in tune. The other tip I'll give you is to get it as much in tune as possible. You know, and also use a preset that's like, you know, some of the presets that are easier to use to tune it. So yeah, it's basically 100% working now. There's also pot adjustments. Yeah, there's pot adjustments on the power supply, and there's even written on the power supply like what voltages they should read. So there's 15 volts. There's a couple pots, and it'll tell you right on the pots like what you're looking for. So you just put your voltmeter on there, and then like after you've replaced the capacitors, you can set the pots to the correct voltage on there. So yeah, there's my vintage synthesizer. So the only thing that I have really left to do is to fix that ADSR envelope, and to the output is a little bit noisy as well, so that's one thing, but it's still usable. So anyways, there's my vintage Korg. Oh yeah, and the other thing too is that if you're going to do any soldering on, well, you take this keyboard off here. I'll just tell you how to take it apart. These has a bunch of screws under here holding this keyboard on, and then it comes off, and the screws are on the underside, and then there's a grounding wire right there that has to come off. And then what I would do is I'd take a digital camera and take a picture of all the wires before you take anything apart. The other thing that you'll have to do, and that people will tell you to do, is take a set of colored magic markers and mark where all of the connectors go. At least all of these connectors here. These are color coded, so they're not so bad. But mark out where all the connectors go with like a magic marker of a different color, so you know where they go. And also take digital pictures before you take it apart, and that's going to make it easier on you. So yeah, good luck with that, and if you have any questions, please let me know. I try to make videos after I dive into software or I dive into some project, and then I learn as much as I can, and then I try to share it with people in a video. So if you like me on Patreon, like I just joined Patreon because I don't have that many subscribers, so if you want to shoot me a bit of money, if you can afford it, it's much appreciated. And please subscribe, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.